Maya, here's my question for you on this whole within today. Obviously, the news is the fact that Trump released his budget to Congress, projected to balance the budget in 15 years, cutting funding for almost all federal agencies by $2.7 trillion. The biggie that everyone's latching onto today, obviously, is the $8.6 billion for construction of the border wall. There was a question again from one of the reporters today: is Mexico going to pay for it? Newsflash: no. Why do you think the president is bringing this up again? Is it about the fight for 2020? Is it about needing the money? What do you think?
Right. Well, I think the fact that the wall is going to be what gets so much attention when this is the president putting out what's supposed to be the whole blueprint for how we would guide the country forward. But the reality is that the budget has become less and less serious. And this just kind of demonstrates that this will have a big political fight over the wall. And nobody will notice a couple really key things here. This is a president who for many years was quite critical of President Obama and all the debt he added. But this budget would add another $7.5 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. And if you use realistic numbers, which its growth numbers are way too aggressive, closer to $10.5 trillion. So it's kind of look at the sparkly thing over here, create a fight. And unfortunately, our entire budget process, which is really important to the governance of the country, is becoming less and less important and not being taken very seriously.
Let me play something for you, because we took live the Q&A with Sarah Sanders. Prior to that, Russ Vought, the new OMB director, spoke, and so I want to play what he said specifically about the deficit.
Washington has a spending problem, and it endangers the future prosperity of our nation for generations to come.
So he also said that it gets harder to balance the budget every year. Congress doesn't go along with their spending plan. So my question to you is it Congress's fault? Is it the White House's fault? The administration asking for a 5% increase in defense spending to $750 billion. Here's what he had to say about that.
And to be clear, this is not funding for endless wars. This is for research and development and procurement to fund the most awe-inspiring military the world has ever known.
So the other piece of this is, at a time when the U.S. is pulling out of Syria, Afghanistan, where would the money go?
Right. So let's be real about the problems in Washington. We have a spending problem and we have a revenue problem. And this budget doesn't really address either of them seriously, in that it extends all of the tax cuts in the baseline and doesn't pay for them. So that makes our revenue problem even worse. And it ignores the biggest drivers of our national debt, the bigger programs, Social Security. It does do some health care savings, but it would need to do more. And it doesn't get serious about the parts of the budget that are going to actually fix the problem. So the focus on very small domestic discretionary savings, which in reality aren't going to happen and are not going to be paired with big increases in defense. And some of the welfare programs, which are targeted in a way that Democrats will never go along with, means we're still not being serious about the big question, which is, how, if you want to spend more money, are you going to pay for it? And how are we not going to continue this endless cycle of borrowing that's causing our debt to grow even faster than our economy, that's going to leave us very weak for all the future challenges, including potentially a recession that we're going to face at some point?
Yes, listening to you, saying John Avalon nodding.